So my first question to this would be, so and ask our Finnish friends. So what's the public supports to create a startup community or startups in Finland, when it started and how it is going on, and whether the let's say the boom of startups have finished or not. Just to say, I've been on one of the Slovak ministry yesterday, and somebody told me, Ivan, startup is like a bubble. It is going to finish like all the other things in Slovakia. So I'm asking you whether this has happened in Finland. Ari?
Good question. Yeah, of course, startup is not a bubble, not at all. It's still booming in Finland, and you ask about the public support, what startups will get in Finland. I think one of the major players in Finland is Tekes, technology agency, Finnish technology agency, and these which is giving grants and soft loans to the startups, but also to the bigger companies. It's not only startup, but maybe young companies, they get something like 120 million euro in a year from Tekes. That's a soft loans and grants, maybe 50-50. And what is the small companies, this European, less than 6 years old, and so on. And the financing is very effective to selected top companies. They give financing for the product development and also business development. So if you're developing product, you can apply grant or loan, or if you're developing your business, expanding to new countries or something like that, or business model is changing, you can apply for the business development. And the most famous program they have is called Young and Innovative Company Program, which they can give a grant up to 1 million euro to the startup. Then there's some other players like Finnvera, which is giving loans, and it has its venture capital arm also, and so they are doing venture capital investments from around 125 million euro fund. It's mostly governmental money. 95% is from government and 5% is from insurance companies or pension funds. Then there is a governmental player in a venture capital also called Finnish Industry Investments, which is sort of investing from its balance sheet and having around 200 million assets this time. At this time. And then there's still fourth player called Citra, which is really active. I think has been earlier in this area of what we were talking earlier about, this kind of energy efficiency and environmental things. And it's a fund, and it's a sort of evergreen fund. And they are selecting now and then every year some topics where they invest, and they don't only invest, but they also organize some kind of support to the selected areas where they want to create development in Finland. So we have this kind of several governmental like vehicles to help startups, and some of them are to very early stage and some of them to the growth state, like this Finnish industry investment. It's for the growth states, and it's also making investments to the funds, and now also Tekes is starting to invest to the small funds. So Finnish industry investment is investing to big funds, and Tekes to the small funds.
So does it have a public support? I mean, do people agree that the government is distributing money into youngsters or people who are just working with technology? Because probably in Slovakia, people would probably agree to distribute money among poor people and not, into successful one.
I think publicly it's quite well accepted, because these young companies create jobs. Big companies don't create any jobs. All new jobs are created to the growth companies, small companies, which are financed by the angels or venture capital or these governmental sources. So I think it's quite well accepted. Of course, there's always some political discussion, and of course, there's really a lot of need to cut the budgets because of the whole European financial situation.
Okay, so
But startups are booming in Finland. We have a lot of new players and active players like accelerators and in the market, new funds also, and then incubators. Then startup sauna, which is an accelerator which don't invest any equity, and we have a slush event coming in November, which is 10,000 participants, 1,500 startups. There 1,500 companies are pitching there, and there will be 500 investors around the world. So those are the elements in Finland, which and also in Slovakia sometimes.
May I ask, are you attracting foreign startups to come to Finland, or is Finland doing something to attract foreign companies, or you have many of yours, so you are not interested in foreign ones?
No, we are very interested on foreign entrepreneurs that they would start a company in Finland. And we have a very much entrepreneurs, for example, from Russia, from let's say Baltics, and who has came and started the company in Finland. So
okay.
That's happening already, and I think it's one of this whole, for example, this accelerator startup sauna. There's normally in a batch maybe 20 companies, maybe 3 or 4 are from Finland, and the rest of the entrepreneurs are from somewhere else.
Great. So what about you, Janne? So how did you benefit from support? So you are some kind of company which have been transformed from a publicly owned to a privately owned. So you have been somehow privatized. Is it yes, the right word?
Yeah. Maybe I can give some kind of a testimonial what Ari said, and also add there one thing that is important in my opinion. But we were originated in the public-private partnership, this Cleantech Finland, but we made a management buyout from that. So for that we didn't get any public subsidy. But in the very early phase, last spring, we applied Tekes funding. Tekes is this Finnish innovation agency that Ari mentioned, the biggest player, and they gave us a subsidy for first phase of business development. It was really developing the business strategy, also developing our digital platform, but mostly really to make a proof of concepts in different markets and test marketing in some of the countries, UK, Sweden and South Korea. And we finalized that in February. So that was very, very important one. The other important one was this our governmental agency Finnvera, who gave us some soft loans, and at the moment we are actually applying this Tekes young innovative company, which would have a major impact on us. We left the application this Monday, so it's very fresh thing. But something to add there, Ari spoke about the key national players, but all the regions, they have their own regional agencies. And if I speak only about this region where I'm located, here is an organization called Business Oulu. They really give kind of a hands-on help for different type of things. For example, if you want to organize a marketing event, they can help you with that and so on. And I think that there is also funds that the city has been setting part of the initial equity to the fund. At least this Butterfly Ventures that is here in Oulu region has been quite active. So yeah, there is a lot of good national players, and then there are those regional players, I would say that the support is quite good from the public side.
So it's when we have discussed things with Israeli people, it's the same. I mean, we speak about innovative countries like Israel, Finland, and the US, and many people just underestimate that the role of the state is very important in this. So you mentioned the different layers of the state, regional, city support, and so on. So I mean, to say it in a politological terminology, it's a little bit of state aid, you know. But is it could it be considered as anti-market measures or not?
What do you mean?
I mean, I'm sorry, it's probably a very complicated question, but often they say that leave economy to the market, and the market is going to arrange everything. But in fact, now we see many layers of the state support. So is it compliant with the free market ideology? Let's call it like that. What do you think, Ari or Janne?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, because normally all subsidizing goes to the prices. If you give subsidy to somebody, it goes to the prices. But I think it's a if we think about grants, that's maybe the most tough part of this. I think the soft loan is not so tough question, or equity investor. I think it's right. Even the public fund, or mostly public fund, does the investments, because then they do the investment so that always there must be a private player who is putting at least 50%, and then the public player is putting equity maximum 50%. So there's this kind of always like market price, because the private part is also investing. But then coming back, I'm just trying to win time to find the answer about this grant. Because then coming to the loan, okay, it's a soft loan. Finnvera is giving soft loans, but with a very high interest. Anyhow, it's not cheap. So
what's the interest?
It's depending on the company, but let's say up to 8%, and they're giving guarantees also. One of our companies has got the offers where the guarantee price was also 6.8% from the capital in a year. So it's not cheap. It can be also expensive. So it's a public player, but they give loans and guarantees, and which are not actually for startup very cheap, and they ask guarantees for the loans and so on. So then we come to, and Tekes is then the biggest player, is then giving soft loans and grants. If we go first to their soft loans, they are really cheap. They are sort of like normal interest level -3 or -4, but minimum 1%. And what I have seen, it has been nearly always that 1% is the interest. So it's very good for the company. It's without guarantee, and the interest is 1%. And then if what you were doing, developing the product, if it fails totally, you can apply that it will be sort of like swapped to the grant, so you don't need to pay it back if Tekes decides so.
So what's the success ratio?
Sorry?
What's the success ratio of the? I mean, many companies are failing. You know, how is it perceived by the system or public or?
That financing is not given sort of it's given to the company, but to the certain project.
Okay.
Some product. So if the project is failing and companies continuing, they can try to apply it, that Tekes will not collect it back. But then we come to this most difficult part, that grants. So our government is giving, like Tekes is giving like half grant and half these soft loans. It's a quite big part. Of course, it might raise it's very good for the startup company and for the investors because it's non-dilutive financing. If there is an investor puts 100,000, then maybe Tekes can give 100,000 grant. So also Tekes is now putting preconditions that if they give a soft loan or if they give a grant, they expect that there's somebody else also putting money to the company. And quite often they ask the founders and investors to put money as a precondition that this soft loan or grant is given. For example, in this what Janne and you are applying, they might ask from you to put more money to the company, and then they give this soft loan and grant. So if we think about market economy, I think this Tekes very soft loan and grant, maybe those are not according to the market economy because they are loan is subsidized and the grant is full subsidy.
Great. Right. So Janne, many Finnish companies are applying for those. Are there some of them which are not even thinking about support because probably they want to go faster and or they do not need it or they have fundraised somewhere else?
Yeah, quite a few companies are there. If we speak this about the Arrowhead program, this young and innovative companies, I think that there is something like 200 companies in the program, and of course some more applying but not qualified there. But just one more thing about this. I believe that the big picture is that. And it's also based on one research that we conducted, very huge research covering like 70 different countries. And the key finding of the research was that those countries who find really innovative public-private partnerships will be winners when we ask that what is the future of clean tech and who will be the winners of this new market. So in a big picture, public-private partnerships, of course, very good. And also, if I think about our company, with the help of this subsidy that we got, we have managed to grow faster than compared to only with the private money and the cash flow, and also with the bigger risk. In practice, we wouldn't have gone to South Korea yet if we didn't have this, but now we already know something that how the Asian market reacts to our offering. So maybe that's in a practice. How you see Rado that?
So probably that my question to Rado would be that so he knows how it is working in Slovakia and in Finland, and probably he's the most well suited to compare things. I mean, please don't be super critical because we want to be very positive, but just
yeah, let me also still reflect the question you asked about the market economy. If the subsidies, they don't undermine the market-based mechanisms. I sort of see that also the government can actually behave in an efficient way considering the investments. Because if you build up from a startup next Nokia, you know, the tax returns actually from this next giant will actually outweigh the investment support or the subsidy support for those growing startups. So it can be seen also as an effective investment towards building up the new big companies within the economy. My point and sort of a comparison, I could state, I have a very clear picture, and this is based on my experience when I was participating in the slush, in the last slush, which also Ari mentioned. And I will never forget the image when I saw the Prime Minister of Finland wearing a jumper and coming to the startup community, and also the Minister of Environment coming to the startup community the same way as the startups are, you know, so in a very easy clothing and trying really to speak the same language. And this was for me the biggest sort of conviction or convincing me that, you know, getting closer to those startups from the political decision makers, so from the very top political decision makers, and really showing them how important they are actually for creating the new jobs, for generating innovation capacity within the economy, and for basically generating the new growth within the economy and creating the competitiveness. So really down to the earth approach, lean approach, it's very typical for Finland, no big hierarchies, and coming to you as a person and really showing you the support directly. So this was for me, I would say, the sort of the biggest momentum when I realized that how the startups can be actually supported.
So have you?
And I can say, maybe just to the remark, I can say that I've also been noticing a little bit that there is some change here in Slovakia. So for instance, when we were at your launch, so there was the Minister of Finance comment. So that was also for me the proof that we are on the right track here in Slovakia. And hopefully that will be kept. Okay, so that was my point.
Thank you very much. Things are changing also in Slovakia. Really, when I started to work in Nology, the word startup was not even just used. I mean, people who have created the biggest portals in Slovakia or even technology companies, they were calling themselves like companies, not startups. So this kind of era was not yet done, and I think that the ecosystem have developed very, very well. Finally, probably with the financement, all the ecosystem have been completed in Slovakia. So you have startups, you have media attention, you have public support, you have political interest, or like politicians can gain interest or public supports because of their action, and you have financement. So now, I mean, it's about it's the time for Slovak startups and companies to prove their successes. And I'm speaking on behalf of two, in fact, organizations. One is called Neology Ventures, so the fund, and the other one is called the Slovak Alliance for Internet Economy. So it's a cluster, or a beginning of a cluster of companies which are more or less dealing with information technology or with internet economy, how we call it. They are not only, I mean, IT companies, but they are just it's some kind of consortium of companies which are using the internet and the internet era to sell their products. And when we launched this activity 2 years ago, I mean, really, it was quite hard to promote this idea. But since that time, it was for us more and more, or less and less difficult to meet politicians, and also to promote some kind of changes. So, for example, two days ago, we have been discussing with the Ministry of Finance, who want to change some kind of legislation in order to be in order to create more easily companies and implement some kind of very standard legislative terms in those shareholder agreements and so on, because we have to admit that, for example, in Slovakia, it's not yet easy to create a company which can motivate employees to be some kind of shareholders, or it's not easy to make transactions and so on. So I believe it is going to be better and better, and some successes coming from Slovakia are promoting it. So the typical ones are ESET, which is the founding member of our organization, but also Sajik and Innovators and many other companies which are not so high tech, but are using internet to sell their products around the world. And that's why it's really good that for example, the co-host of this hangout is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is using more and more their diplomats to promote Slovak technology and business. And probably the last thing, it's quite good when, for example, technological topic is becoming a part of election campaign, and it has become the I mean, it became the first time the case 1 week ago when in the European election one of the candidates, for example, Mr. Šefčovič, said that it is going to be his priority to just to build out of Slovakia a country which is going to be, let's say, on the European, at least on the European standard for the support of startups. So, I mean, things are changing, as you said, Rado, and probably those discussions should help to it. So, but tell me a little bit more about the experience of your company. So, I mean, are you meeting on the day-to-day or week-to-week basis, or you are just using technology or Skype or Hangout, or you are just so? How it is to work in some kind of like by-country company, which is a startup, in fact? Because I know how it is to work, in a multinational company where they are using like super technologies and so on. They have board meetings, but how it is to work on like a startup on those 2 feet?
Yeah, I think that our key channel is this Solved platform itself. There is chat and all kind of, we can set the documents and so on, but physical meetings, we use this actually Hangouts. Every Monday we have our weekly meeting and then different discussions during the day. So mostly we use Hangouts and FaceTime, and maybe we meet once a month with Rado. Is it so? Something like that. But when we meet, we always spend a little bit more time together. We visit, first of all, we visit clients. At the moment, we are visiting also investors. But then we try to have at least one weekend together, because originally I think that the original idea of Solved came when we were in a free time. Of course, speaking about the clean tech and how to combine digital platforms with that, but it was 5 a.m. in sauna, like most of the companies are established.
And it was in Lapland, so I have to also say that, because Janne is from Lapland. So we are from Lapland, Finland, Slovakia setup, but still I have to add that even from the past and from the FinPro times, as Janne mentioned, we were about 60 nationalities. And really, FinPro gave us a really good base of working in a very multicultural environment. And, that was really, on one hand, very enjoyable work, but also a very good learning experience through meeting very different cultures. And also, when I reflect now the product development, for instance, and also other partners and advisors we are working with. So in the time moment, we as a company we work with 8 different nationalities. So I think this is also the way how the new companies in the modern world will be, proceeding. So that they will be tapping talents from basically any location in the world. Because the beauty of today's world is that it really gives you very easy possibilities to network with anyone, anywhere in the world. For instance, yesterday I had a telco about potential business in Middle East with a person in the US. So it's really truly showing the landscape of today's economy. So this sort of multicultural background is definitely something very motivating. And that would be also something.
One part of the beauty is that you can communicate easily, in through technological means. But one other beauty is that I mean, for example, in our fund, we are receiving a lot of application every day, in fact. But I have to say that when there is some kind of multicultural and even multi-gender team, it's much more interesting, and they complement themselves. They can use 2 different networks. They can use skills, cultural advantages from those countries. So I mean, it's the worst thing is to receive a business plan of 4 programmers. They grew together. They grew up together. They just smelling the same, and they're just discussing about the same things and so on. I mean, we are not rejecting them, and often it's like super ingenious idea, but they are missing skills from other different either countries or sectors and so on. So with this organization SAPI, we just gave some kind of advice to the government that they should really focus on a very little details, that the school dormitories should be mixed, not like by sexes, but also by not only economics and only lawyers and only IT guys, but just really mix. And they just now they are not reflecting yet at this probably very easily solvable thing, but we are pushing hard. Ari, I see on this wall that there is a question for you. Yes? You wanted to add something? Okay, so Ari, there is a question for you. Ari, are you focusing on supporting technology startups in Finland, or from which other startup area?
Yeah,
I don't know if you understood. So whether it's only Finland or Nordic or what's your preference?
Yeah, if you think about geographically, I've invested for one company in Prague, one in London, and one in USA.
Okay.
And then, of course, mostly in Finland. And through these funds, like Spintop Ventures, I'm investing in all Nordic countries, and then through Seed Camp, it's practically the whole world, but mainly Europe, but also outside of Europe, and 500 startups. That's investing totally globally. Maybe 50% goes to Silicon Valley, and 25% rest of USA, and 25% rest of the world. So I tend to do the cross-border investments too.
Okay.
But when angels are doing cross-border investment, they tend to find the local partners who are near the company, because if you do the investment to for example, to Slovakia, if I do, so I would tend to have trusted parties on the ground.
I'm sure you have him. You have it. I'm so happy. Okay, great. And probably also one thing. What's the type of technology in which you are interested in? So I presume clean tech, but also different ones.
Yeah, I was just coming on that. So that I have my background is from energy technology. So and I studied. My business was doing software for energy and environmental. Energy and utilities, so ICT and clean tech are my areas. Okay. Most of the investments are in ICT.
Okay, great.
And then still about these states, I'm doing both pre-revenue and pre-revenue cases, so even those where there's no revenue yet, and then later states also. So I'm doing both.
So just a technical detail, are you doing that alone, or you have like partners or assistants and so on? So I'm just asking for advices, because we are four and we have so much work to, so how are you doing that?
I'm doing alone. I'm doing alone. Of course, I have a bookkeeper, I have a lawyer if needed, but I'm doing alone. So I'm one-man band. Okay.
Great. So I have to learn something. We are going to have a different discussion, because it's really, many people think it's so easy to spend money and so on, but in fact it's, if you want to do it transparently, if you want to really preserve the money of your investor, and you want to do it in a way that your company in which you have invested is investable in the future rounds, then you have to be, it's like really sometimes of nuclear science.
Yeah,
especially it's easy to invest outside of Slovakia, but then if you want to make some kind of comparison of the legislation and you want to make it good, then it's difficult. My question to Jana would be: so your company is Finnish, and you have some kind of Slovak arm which is legally established, or how, I mean, if it's not a secret, but probably not.
Yeah. I think it's not a secret. It's legally established. It's a branch office.
Okay.
Yeah.
We cannot hear you, Rado.
Headquartered in
We cannot
Finland.
hear.
Rado, you are muted.
And can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Maybe you, Rado. Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah. Headquartered in Finland and with a branch office here in Slovakia. So these are basically our two locations now for the operations. And Ivan, if you please allow me to a little bit reflect still on what you raised before. Three of us, so Santu, Jane, and me, we're guys coming basically from the business development. So we have business background. And, we are still coming to IT, so basically we are not coders ourselves. But I think the importance here is to really match up yourself with the most talented guys. When you bring the vision of the product, which you envision for the future, you have to find then the talents who are able to bring this product to reality. And this is what I'm very happy about and really proud, is the partnership we have had with our partners. If it was in Finland, who have been involved in designing the concepts of the Solve platform, or then here in Slovakia, who were the designers, the usability designers, then the coders. So I'm very happy that, and this is also how I envision the future of innovation. I believe the future of innovation will not come from within the companies. It will come from within the networks of the partnerships of the companies. That each company will play its role in this whole value chain and will be in each specific field the most innovative player. And this is how the most innovative products and business models will come to the market. So they won't come from individual companies, but rather from the network of the companies. And this is what we are basically trying to do, so matching with the top partners.